Hello and welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We are here live on YouTube, and tonight I'm joined by Shug and Roberto. We have got plenty to cover. We're coming into the holiday season and we're fast approaching fantasy football playoff season, so whatever we can do to help, we'll try. Tonight we've got all the latest on the injury front with Deebo Samuel, Jackson and Etienne sitting very pretty. But Shug, I'm not going to hang about here. Talk to me. Christian McCaffrey, he's a doubt for the weekend. I know you've got him in your team. How's it looking?
Yeah, I'm hopeful he'll make it. I think the noise is coming out is that they do think he will make the game. So I'm staying fairly positive it puts him in. As I said numerous times, him and Tyreek Hill are crucial. They get injured, my season's done, either one of them. So it is crucial to me. We know he's had these injury problems in the past. We know he's struggled to finish a full season. But hopefully this is nothing too bad and he's able to play. If not, you've got to kind of look to, as we're going to talk about, you've got to look to like Jordan Mason. But I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. And talking statistics here, Shug, do you think he's had more injuries than you've mentioned Tyreek Hill in this podcast?
It's probably up there. It's probably close.
So what we know is that it's a knee irritation, and McCaffrey himself isn't shy of an injury. We knew this when he was coming to the 49ers. It was sensible to handcuff someone. The sensible handcuff would have been Eli Mitchell, given that he was coming back from an injury. Now he's done that MCL again. It's an MCL sprain, which is going to see him out 6 to 8 weeks, which pretty much puts him out the fantasy season. Now, Roberto, the man everyone's talking about as the backup would be Jordan Mason. Is it a time to pick him up, stash him, especially if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, and look to start him, maybe, if he's out?
I would definitely pick him up if I was a McCaffrey owner, just to handcuff him, just to have that backup there. If McCaffrey, like he usually does, has injuries every season and he's out and he misses games, so I would definitely pick him up. In terms of starting him, probably not. Don't know enough about him yet to really make any opinion on the guy. So yeah, I would pick him up if I was a McCaffrey owner. Wouldn't start him, but I would kind of watch this space with him.
Yeah, for me, looking back to last season when the 49ers were struggling at running back and basically having almost every running back injured, and I include Eli Mitchell in that, Deebo Samuel then became a lot more predominant in that running back role, and it led to stipulations in his new contract. Is this possibly something that we can see if Deebo Samuel's declared fit? Because now what we know about Deebo Samuel is that he's suffering from a quad injury, having previously been out with a hamstring injury. So this is a fresh injury. Maybe something we see more of Deebo Samuel in that running back role, or that sort of hybrid role they had him in last year.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think Deebo Samuel, he hasn't really been performing from a receiving point of view or a wide receiver point of view recently. I know last week Brandon Ayuk was heavily dominant in the wide receiver position. So maybe to get Deebo in a game, they do this wee hybrid kind of run pass kind of position for him. I would like to see him in the game more, but listen, the 49ers have got options. If they don't go on the ground, they've got a lot of weapons in the air. So I think they'll actually be okay without McCaffrey. I know it sounds bad, but I think they'll actually do fine without him.
Yeah, and on that, and sticking with the running back position, Shug, we've seen this already. When McCaffrey went in there, we thought, right, McCaffrey, he's going to get huge percentage of the snaps. Eli Mitchell comes back. They've both basically got straight down the middle snap share. Do you even think if you picked someone up like Jordan Mason in the event that McCaffrey doesn't play, you're running a risk with starting them, given that it could be running back by committee again?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just touch on that. I've picked up Mason as
I knew you would. I knew you would.
He got play the game, but
safe.
Yeah,
it's safe betting.
That could certainly happen. He could end up splitting time. He could end up splitting the reps with him. But as I said, I hope McCaffrey's there. I agree. When he first came in, we said how it's going to be so heavily dependent on it. It's not really worked out that way. So as Roberto said, they could be fine with McCaffrey, but they're really now getting to they're really threadbare, to be honest with you. And if it comes down to Mason being the only main one fit, then it's going to be tough for them. But yeah, I think they will look to split the play between the two of them.
Yeah, and Roberto, we're getting a lot of love for you in the comments, mate. They're asking, can you give them a wave?
Woo!
There we go.
Hey,
there we go.
hello.
I
Who is
know,
it?
so
Toasty?
Hola!
how did
Hola,
you...
¿qué tal? ¿Estás bien?
De nada.
Is
Yeah,
it
so for anyone
Toasty?
watching live on YouTube just now, please make sure you're commenting, getting involved. Send us your starting lineup dilemmas. We like to do them. I know a lot of leagues will be past their trade deadlines. We've not got too much in trades this week, unfortunately. No doubt Toasty in our league has tried to trade with us, but no, the deadline's passed. So if you've got any sort of lineup dilemmas, get them sent in, get them in the comments. There we go, a big yes in the comments.
Love it.
Okay, so we will move on to the next one. Lamar Jackson limited with a quad injury Wednesday in practice. Now, for me, Lamar Jackson has actually been okay this year in terms of injuries. Last year, he missed something like 5 or 6 weeks towards the end of the season. Jackson himself, I think, has been underperforming, but I think that comes down to how the Ravens have played and how they've changed his style of play. Now, Roberto, would it be the smart thing to do to go and pick up Tyler Huntley?
I think if Tyler Huntley comes in, the Ravens will focus heavily on the run game with Lamar being out. So I personally wouldn't go anywhere near him. There's so many other quarterbacks out there that are still available in so many different leagues that will be able to put up probably more points than Tyler Huntley will be able to. So if it was me, I would stay away from it. If it's no Jackson, nah, another quarterback.
Yeah, personally, I quite like Huntley. I remember last season when he came in, he'd done a good job, and the talk around the league was that he would probably be looked at by other teams in a starting role. But Shug, if it's not to be Huntley, is there any other quarterbacks in the league that you like? Maybe guys that have come in that could do the job if Lamar Jackson is out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with Roberto on this one. I think I'd be trying to look elsewhere. I think Huntley, I agree, he's decent, but I think they'll go heavy in the running game. And as much as he's kind of capable and mobile, I think he's not got the size to be up there for you. He's not. I don't think he'll perform the way you would expect or the way you need. I was looking through our league earlier, maybe, and it's hard. I don't want to say the obvious ones because everybody, they're normally taking or whatever. But looking at particularly this weekend's matchup, maybe like a Kenny Pickett, he's got a good matchup this weekend. Maybe somebody like him could be a good one. So, as I said, depends from league to league. It's easier as sitting here and saying different players, but you go in and those guys are gone. So, I think looking just at our league and what might be available, Kenny Pickett could be a decent shout for this weekend if you're looking for a quick fix.
I think that's a great shout because he's probably slid under the radar a wee bit, given he's not going to score you ridiculous amounts of points at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Waivers are pretty dry. You're not going to get the top end picks when it comes to quarterback that's going to score you 20 plus points a week. So I like that shout. And the Steelers have actually come onto a game, if we're being honest. They're doing okay now, considering how poor they've been this year almost. But looking at the running back position, Michael Carter didn't participate yesterday as well. And if Carter can't go, it's looking like it'll be a running back by committee with between James Robinson, Ty Johnson, and Zonovan Knight. Would we expect to see Robinson get the fair share of the carries, Shug?
Yeah, I think he might get more of an opportunity. I mean, he made a bit of noise. I think he wasn't involved last week.
That's right, yeah,
No.
he was carrying an injury last week, yeah.
I think he's made a bit of noise though, but not featuring really. I was sure he was fit last week, but didn't feature. But I think he comes in here. This is his opportunity. I don't think there's any point in having a player like that and not giving them chances. So I think this will come. He'll get more of an opportunity this week.
Yeah, and Roberto, if Carter can't go, which is looking likely, and is that running back by committee, and James Robinson doesn't get the fair share of the snaps that we thought he would, guys like Ty Johnson and Zonovan Knight, are we potentially looking like guys that could be steady pickups if they do come good in this game?
Yeah, totally. I think it's a bit it's a bit rubbish on James Robinson because I thought he was a brilliant running back. I really liked him at the Jags, and he just seems to just not be involved. He's not got going here. I think last week Ty Johnson and Zonovan. I thought his name was Bam
Zonovan.
Knight or Bomb Knight. Bam Knight was his name. Was that not his name?
Let me check
I
this
think he
out
gets
now.
called. I think he gets called by two names because I remember I was searching him on waivers and I could not find him by searching his first name. But anyway, I'm going off track here. But last week they both.
Zonovan is his birth name. That's his
Okay,
Oh,
Christian
it
name.
is. You're right.
Right.
Zonovan Bam Knight. Like, imagine
It
having
is,
such a
okay.
cool first name, but getting called an even better nickname. Saying that,
I
getting
know.
called a Bam in Scotland isn't the best thing to be called, let's be honest.
But yeah, so Zonovan Bam Knight, he really stepped up last week when Carter got injured. It was pretty impressive. Look at that, just under 70 yards, just under five yards per carry, and 13 and a bit fantasy points. So I would definitely look at picking up Bam Knight. He seems eager up for it, and he seems like he's got the skill to perform pretty well. So yeah, go for Knight.
Yeah. Yep. And looking to where James Robinson's come from, Travis Etienne and Zay Jones both limited in practice for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Shug, you're a man with Zay Jones. He was your boom this week. Is this a worrying factor for you?
Again, I think he'll make through. Looking at the predictions, I think he will play. So I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm not taking him out at this stage. But it's one you've certainly got to keep an eye on. It is a wee bit of a worry, and obviously you'd be worrying about Etienne as well. But Jones came on a real game. Also, my boom for last week. It's certainly a worry. Certainly want to keep an eye on. For this week.
Yeah, and Roberto, when you look at these two guys, if one of them or both of them would be out, like, who are you looking at as possible replacements here? Anyone at the Jags?
So it was Jamal Paskey, is that his name? The boy
Pascal,
that stepped in last week? Pascal, sorry.
Yep.
He looked pretty well, but again, I would probably look elsewhere. Although the Jags have got a really good matchup this weekend against the Lions, who are notorious for allowing a lot of running back points. It might be a safe bet to go with one of the Jags running backs, but again, just don't know enough about these players to kind of trust putting them in my starting lineup, especially at this time of the season when it's make or break for playoffs. I'd be looking elsewhere to try and pick up someone else.
Yeah, I quite like Zay Jones' namesake as well, Marvin Jones. He seems to get a few targets every now and again at the Jags. So even at that, in that sense of things, but I know what you say, Roberto. The run game against was it Lions? We said teams are targeting it all over, and the Jags have been good. They've been a good team, so it would be a blow if either one of these players are out. But they've been solid the past few weeks, which has been good to see because they came into the season with so much promise. Another guy, huge player in fantasy football, Jamar Chase. He's back in training, but he's still limited. Now, Roberto, if you're a Boyd or you're a Higgins owner, would you be confident in starting either of them, given that Jamar Chase may have a chance of playing?
I would be confident starting Higgins, just the way that he's performed since Chase has been out. And even when Chase was here, I wouldn't be so confident with Boyd. He is my bust for this week. I think over the last few weeks he's had a real opportunity to step up while Jamar Chase has been out. He's really underperformed. I don't think he's done double digits in 4 or 5 weeks on fantasy points. The Bengals have got a lot of weapons around them that they can use. Perrines came on a really good game as a pass catching running back. They've got Hurst who's stepping up at the tight end position. They've got that other tight end that looks like his twin brother, which I don't know his name, but every time he gets the ball, I get excited, and it's not Hurst. But I definitely wouldn't start Boyd at Higgins though.
Yeah, Higgins, you're a fan of Higgins. And Shug, Roberto mentioned him, Samaje Perine. We spoke about him quite heavily last week, given it the concussion of Mixon had kept him out again. Would you be starting Samaje Perine, given that it's very, very likely that Mixon's going to be back in this game, but Chase might still be missing?
I mean, it's one I'd monitor. I think given how much they've trusted Perrine and how he's performed last couple of weeks, I don't see them taking any chances on anybody else. I see them still, maybe for this week, still relying on a bit. So I wouldn't be rushing to get rid of him, to be honest. I'd monitor it up until the last minute. See how it's looking, but no, with the kind of limited reps and with a bit of uncertainty, I think they could do a lot worse with trusting Kyran again this week. So I wouldn't be rushing to get him out of my team.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and we'll look across the other injuries, right? At the Steelers, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are both limited in practice, so there's a chance one or both of them miss out this week, which you would then be looking to someone like Benny Snell, who comes in as the next guy up. So he came in last week and scored 13.8 points following Harris's injury against the Colts. He must be a prime pickup this week, Shug. Would you agree?
Yep, that's Snell an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Steelers and not the Jets.
He was picked up.
No, he's not. He was picked up. He's been picked up.
I've not got him.
I think he's been dropped again because I've just went in to check and he's available, but he's also been limited at practice today. So the Steelers could have a serious issue at the running back position.
See, that's what you get though when you basically just run with a bell cow running back, because they ran Harris into the ground without it being a committee. They ran Warren into the ground. He's picked up an injury, and now the guy that's not even played seems to have picked up an injury. Well, not played much. So bad state of affairs at the Steelers. But I think Benny Snell is a good pickup. It's worth keeping an eye on this, given that it might not just be this week that Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are struggling. It might be something going forward that he's going to get his chance. And on the evidence I've seen the last season or so, last season as well, that Benny Snell's a good running back. So he could be good coming into your playoffs and give you a wee bit of assurance if you are an Najee Harris owner. But last one I'm going to come to here, and I spoke about last week as well, is Kyran Williams, right? He's healthy now. He's back in. He has taken the job as the Rams running back. Now, the Rams are just one of the most depleted teams when it comes to injuries at the moment. No Cooper Kupp, no Allen Robinson, no Matt Stafford. On the other side of the ball, no Aaron Donald. There's even more on top of that. Does Kyran Williams, Shug, become prime real estate in terms of running back one, bell cow running back in fantasy football?
Yeah, I would say so. You look at the amount of targets he's getting about 70%, and I'll not mention the other guy that's getting about 30%.
Cam Akers, Hall of Fame.
Just for that sheer volume and the fact the Rams, they are a bit of shambles. They are now that they are relying heavily on Williams. So I think for that alone, he's got to be a really big option, especially with the amount of injuries around the league. He's got to be a decent option.
Yeah, tell me this, right? Christmas morning, Shug, you got your mum and dad's huge 6 foot wrapped up figurine. You open it up, it's a life size cut out of Cam Akers. What you doing it?
It's a charity shop opening on Christmas Day.
That was quite kind from you.
I know, I could have said a lot worse.
I think you're a bit harsh on that guy. But no, I really like Kyran Williams. People are tipping him to break through. I think he's going to do well. The Rams running game's poor, but I think it's basically season over for the Super Bowl champs. I don't know where they go for here, but it's been a season to forget for them. But we'll not hang about too long now. We're going to move on to the break. But before we do, lads, I have a question. I don't want the answer right now, but if you're watching live, try and answer in the comments, okay? Up until 1994, NFL officials used to signal the end of the quarter in an unusual way. Can any of you tell me what that was? Don't give me the answer right now. I'll let you think about it and see if you can come up with an answer. So prior to 1994, how did NFL officials signal the end of the quarter? So we're going to go to a break now, and a big thanks to this episode sponsor, Manscaped. It's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favour and use a Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid any silent nights in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and use code BoomerBus20 for free shipping and 20% off. And I can vouch for that. The products that we have are absolutely outstanding. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof, can take it in the shower, no nicks or cuts. The way these things are built, it's a quality product. I'm sure Shug will back that up.
Absolutely, and I think it could even get through that beard of Roberto's.
Actually, it's shaved.
You're a hairy man.
Aye.
I know, so Roberto is the type of guy, if his missus is watching, a Manscaped box set would do you absolutely perfect, mate. I'm not asking you
It
to take
would.
your drawers off or anything, so just I'm meaning the upstairs for now. So if that's anything to go
That's
by,
fair.
then definitely. Jane, if you're watching, a wee Manscaped box set for Roberto. And what she should be using with that is the code BoomerBust20 at manscaped.com. That will get you 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the code BoomerBust20. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Tell you what, lads, I haven't half got good at that, eh?
I nailed it.
Best one yet.
Roberto's got it in Spanish now.
Aye.
On you go, Roberto,
What's
for
this
the
space?
remember the WWE? It used to be like, and we'll go to a Spanish correspondent. So you'd be sitting there not having a clue what they say, but it would always be
Aye.
their table that would get done in.
Aye.
So good.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Did you ever take offence when Mankind went through a Spanish table, not the American one?
Nah, I didn't. I don't think I thought about it. I was only a wee guy at the time, so I don't think I knew anything about that.
I hope I've not started a movement there. But anyway, lads, we'll come back
Aye.
to the question from before the break. And I'm going to come to you first, Roberto. So, up until 1994, the NFL's officials used to signal the end of the quarter in an unusual way. All right?
So,
And can anyone tell me what it was? So, Roberto, any ideas?
my original thought would be like a gun or something, but you said unusual, so I'm going to say, I don't know, do they scream? Do they not have whistles or something? Do they just used to scream?
Right, hold that there. Okay, Shug?
I was thinking, at first I thought you meaning like a hand gesture to do, but I'm going to go a trumpet.
A trumpet. Right, okay. I'm going to look at... We're going to look at the comments. We have a comment from Jamie McRae by shouting yeehaw and shooting a gun. Right, so I don't know where the correlation of Americans and guns are here, but Roberto and Toasty, you guys are right on this one. They would end the quarter by shooting a starting pistol. Back in 1924, stadium clocks were not allowed the official time, and officials keep time on the field. It fell to the line judge to keep time and hold the pistol. All right, and a wee related story to that. Line judge Tommy Miller once officiated a game with President Richard Nixon in attendance. He noted that the Secret Service agents guarding the president looked alert and intense. As referee, John McDonough joked that he better not shoot his gun up in the air in case the agents shot him. Tommy Miller thought he was being serious and turned his back on the president, pointed the gun at the ground and fired just in case. So there you go. Not only do we talk rubbish, we're an encyclopedia of NFL knowledge, but those in the comments, well done, you were very close. Roberto, well done. Shug, 0 points as ever, mate.
Good effort, though.
A good effort, but
trumpets sound good.
I know, plenty of trumpets in here, but Shug, I'm going to stick with you here, okay? We're going to look ahead to week 13 and any favourable matchups that we like. Any players that we're looking to just jump straight in and say, I'm starting him. Who have you got? Who are you liking this week?
So I'm going to go with the captain, Christian Kirk. He's got to be my start for the week. He only scored 13 points last week, but I think he'll bounce back. He's playing against the Lions this weekend, his 30th, against the wide receivers and fantasy points. So I fancy him about a big week. He's been hot and cold. I got rid of him. I traded him. Part of a good deal, but I traded him when he was probably at his highest. He had a bit of a dip, but it seems as if now he's picking up and getting the points in. So I'm going to tip Christian Kirk this week.
I like that, yeah. Given that we spoke about earlier that Zay Jones might miss the game, Kirk then becomes not so much the next guy up, because I'd place him ahead of Zay Jones in terms of the wide receiver one at the Jaguars, but I think that's been a good trade for you. I think you sold high and you've done well, because you did get McCaffrey out as part of the deal, so I think it's worked out well for you.
Yep.
But the guy you gave him to currently sits second, so
I know.
works both ways, doesn't it? And Roberto, anyone you like? It's what, sorry?
Don't get me started on him.
You've got a bit of a personal battle going. Roberto, any matchups that you're liking this week?
So I think I'm trying to manifest this one. So I think that Darius Slayton for the Giants is going to have a really good week at the wide receiver one position. Last week, Richie James seemed to really step up and fill that wide receiver one role, and he had a lot of receptions, a lot of points. You can see Slayton only had just under 10 points last week, but with Wan'Dale Robinson being out for the season, Richie James didn't train yesterday and he was limited today, so it's not looking good for him to play against the Commanders this week. Last 4 weeks, Slayton's had 13.5, 18.5, 14.8, and 11.6. So some really good numbers. And with all the other Giants wide receivers out, Slayton is projected to have an absolute screamer. So I'm manifesting that one because I traded him in last week. So yeah, Slayton for me.
Fully on board with you. Giants wide receiver having a great game against the Commanders. Like, what more could I ask for? But I think in this one as well, if Daniel Bellinger's fit, coming back from an eye injury, he's another sneaky good one at tight end to sort of keep an eye on there, because Jones likes him as a target given how poor it is at wide receiver at the Giants just now. But I really fancy the Giants in this game, and I do. I've loved Slayton all season, although he's been quiet in games, but there is reason for that. But I think in terms of the Giants, there's something like there's a chance of 14 players being fit that weren't fit last week that aren't ready to play. Sorry, I've said that completely wrong there. There's something like a swing of 14 players that look to be fit that weren't fit last week. So hopefully get us back on track. But another favourable matchup that I'm liking, this guy has been the best wide receiver the past 3 weeks, maybe apart from Justin Jefferson in fantasy football, Christian Watson. And it's took a while for the Green Bay Packers to establish a clear wide receiver one. Now, Watson is that guy. Now, he has scored 6 touchdowns across his last 3 games, which is more than basically most of the other wide receivers in the whole entire league across the season. Now, for me, guys like Romeo Doubs being out was a good thing, but I still think he's going to hold on to that position. And Alan Lazard and Shug, you'll vouch for this, hasn't really done it. Just consistency has completely let him down. Watson is Aaron Rodgers' guy now. It's very, very clear to see, and given the fact that across the last 3 games, Watson's now scored over 70 fantasy points combined. That is ridiculous. Given that he's only scored 101.5 points in the season, gives you a clear indication of how much he's on fire at the moment. So if you've got him, and I know 70% of leagues started him last week, make sure he's in there. Make sure you're starting him, because I don't really care who it is he's playing. And I know previous weeks I'll go on about defences against wide receivers and running backs, etc., etc. It doesn't matter who Watson's playing against just now. He's absolutely scorching them. So for me, Christian Watson's my start this week.
Is he
I only concern with that. Oh.
No,
he's
not.
Right.
He's
Martin's
not. Given the chance just now, Martin's got him, and benched him the past 2 weeks. How poor is that?
See, the thing is, though, Aaron Rodgers has got a broken thumb or something like that, and he's got a rib injury just now. He says that he's planning to play this week, but he's got a pretty serious injury in his ribs that they'll need to heavily wrap up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they focused heavily on the run game this week. But Watson, totally agree. He's an absolute superstar, and he's been booming recently. You'd be silly not to start him.
Yeah, and if I gave you the choice just now that you can have Alan Lazard or you can have Christian Watson, who are you taking?
100% Watson. As I said, I've kept Lazard in because now and again he's come up with decent points for me, but as you said, Watson's a top wide receiver now. Lazard has kind of found himself a wee bit out of the picture, not really done it. So all day it's Watson over Lazard.
Yeah. Anyway, lads, we look to the negative side of it. Any matchups that we're not liking now? Roberto, I know you said Tyler Boyd earlier. Are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I'll stick with him as my bust this week. I think there's an accumulation of different things that just sets up Tyler Boyd to not have a good week this week. I know they've got a favourable matchup against the Chiefs, is it, that they're playing this week?
Yep.
So Jamar Chase potentially going to be back. T. Higgins fit. I think Tyler Boyd's been really underwhelming the last 5-6 weeks. He had an absolute breakout game against the Falcons where he was 160 yards, just under 30 fantasy points. And at that point, we thought, okay, Tyler Boyd is going to really step this up and really going to kick on from here. Since then, he's just dropped and dropped and dropped week in, week out. He's went 9.4 fantasy points, 6.2 fantasy points, 3.6 fantasy points. So by that projection, he's going to get 0 points this weekend. So I personally don't like Tyler Boyd. No for me.
Difficult to disagree there, and I'm going to take another wide receiver matchup that I'm absolutely hating this week, and my sit for this week is Curtis Samuel. After last week's performance, I'm absolutely hating him, and the start of the season looked like a solid fantasy football pickup. I think it was after week 3 or something like that. He was sitting within the top 10 wide receivers in the league. Since Heineke's got the starting job there, he's completely fallen off a cliff. He's not scored more than 10 fantasy points since week 9, and it very much looks like it's Terry McLaurin's job with Heineke at quarterback. So for me, I just can't rely on him. I just don't think he's been good enough, and he's one for the bench at the moment. I wouldn't go as far to drop him, given that if McLaurin get injured, then Samuel would be the next guy up, and he can be a solid player on his day. But for this week and against the Giants, who are very good against the wide receiver, then Samuel is my sit for this week. Now, Shug, I'm going to come to you next, okay? And I'm hoping that your choice is based on morals and not much else.
Well, a good bit of it is, I'm going with Deshaun Watson coming back in this week. Now, I know a lot of people will. He is obviously a very, very talented player. I know a lot of people have maybe stashed him and are now going to use him. He's coming back in. I would say I don't fancy him. I think he has been surrounded with too much controversy. Last time he kind of come back, he was looking rusty. I think he'll do the same. I think he'll take a while to get up and running. I think it's very, very difficult to come in this stage of season, especially, as I said, all the negative headlines, all the controversy, all the eyes on you. I think it'd be very difficult for him to just come straight in and hit the ground running. So morally, I wouldn't have him in my team, but in the same way, he's very unknown right now. I say unknown. You know what he's capable of, but you get what I mean. Unknown in terms of what conditions he got to come back in. I just think you've got so many better options that are around there at quarterback. Don't give that guy a sniff.
And talking about moral, Shug, did you see that he's actually starting in our league for somebody's team?
It doesn't shock me.
Doesn't shock you, mate. But no, it's all the off the field stuff that's still going on with Deshaun Watson. I think in this game it's going to be very interesting. I actually read that 10 of his accusers are going to be present at the game, which is quite outstanding, really. But it'll be interesting to see how the other players in the opposing team react to him. If you're a defender and you want to get the fans on your side, you're smashing him to bits, man.
Yeah, 100%. And see, to be devil's advocate, like I personally wouldn't start him. I don't like him. But from a fantasy perspective, like he brings in some big numbers. Like year in, year out, he is very good for your fantasy team. I mean, we can see there 370 fantasy points in 2020. He's averaging at 23 a game, which is pretty impressive. But he's a scumbag, so get him off your roster.
Yeah, get him out of there. But now from one quarterback to another with a very good image, actually, Tom Brady. Okay, boys. There was an article from The Athletic this week that said he's a pending free agent at the start of the season and he could make a sensational return to the Patriots, which would see Mac Jones traded away. Now, I'll come to you first, Roberto, with this. Where do you stand on it? Is this maybe a bit harsh on Mac Jones?
I think it's really harsh on Mac Jones, but I also think Brady, he should have probably retired last year, and he's just clinging on and clinging on and clinging on. He's kind of just on a gradual decrease now. He's not having a good season with the Bucks. To go back and have a full 360 story with the Patriots would be nice on paper, but from a performance point of view, I don't think the Patriots are going to benefit in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, given how bad that division is, it is astounding to me that they are sitting top of the division. Now, Shug, the links of them going back to the Patriots, would you have it? Or we've seen this so many times before where guys return to the previous teams that they've had so much success, and it puts a wee blotch in that sort of, I don't know, their legend almost.
Yeah, I don't know. Long term, for me, when these things happen, long term they don't affect your legacy. Long term, you're getting remembered for all the great things you do. But I agree with you. I think his time's been. I think you see it so often in all about sports that comebacks don't really work. It's a glamour story. I don't really see how it fits in. I don't really see how it would be a good move for either party. I don't know how the Pats could really build anything, bringing a Brady at the end of his career back in, and I don't see how Brady would go and be successful. It's not as if he's going into an unbelievable offense where he's got all the tools there for him to succeed and go out in a blaze of glory. I just think the only thing I can think of is for personal reasons. Maybe he wants to be in that area. I don't know. I don't know enough about his family what the kind of situation is there now, but I personally can't see it happening, and it doesn't fit for me really.
Yeah, for me, I would have loved to have seen him go to the 49ers, but time and place, and that's Trey Lance's job. He's going to come back next year, and it's his job again when he comes back for that broken leg. We've seen it happen with Dak at the Cowboys. In terms of Jimmy Garoppolo, there's another guy that's going to be on the move, so you could potentially have, if Brady moves to the Pats, you could potentially have Garoppolo and Mac Jones out there as free agents.
Yeah.
Or in Mac Jones' case, he'd be traded away. But it's a very interesting situation.
Yeah. The only positive I could say that is if he is going to play on another season, I'm glad the noises are kind of starting towards it just now, and hopefully it's something that retirement's not on his lips again, because I'd hate to see another summer where he's told he's retired, that's it, and then he comes back, because I know he's had a lot of personal stuff, but it's obviously not worked well this year. It's obviously took a bit of focus away. So the one positive I'd say is that hopefully there's movement towards a quick decision anyway.
I think I'm right in saying this, right? And I seen a tweet a couple of weeks ago saying that Brady was 2-0 since his divorce was announced. It was basically, if that woman in your life's holding you back, like, get her out, she's holding you back. But am I right in saying that they've not lost a game since he announced his divorce?
They've been on a good run now. They've been on a decent. No, they lost it. They lost to the Browns last week, actually in overtime.
So they did. That just shows how poor my memory is. But looking ahead, and we're talking about free agency there, I caught a thing off social media that showed the extent of the players available in free agency this year from the running back class. So here we go. Free agents to 2023, okay? Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, Jamal Williams, Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson Jr., Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, and Rashad Penny. Roberto, any of them that stand out to you and any you would love to see go to a certain team?
The Bears are obviously my team, so the players that both stand out from, or three of them that really stand out for me, Saquon Barkley is a must. He is a game changer. Tony Pollard deserves to be treated better than he does at the Cowboys. He deserves an RB1 position somewhere. And I'm not going to say Josh Jacobs because he obviously had an unbelievable week last week, but still need to see it over a kind of a season. But Kareem Hunt as well, I'd probably be looking to get.
Yeah, for the Bears, I wouldn't be too sad to see David Montgomery go there. Reason being, I think Khalil Herbert is a better running back.
Yeah.
For me, from that list, the guy that clearly jumps out to me that should be a running back one at any team he plays at is Tony Pollard. Now, there's going to be somebody who goes out and pays him if he leaves the Cowboys, if the Cowboys don't pay him, so to speak. But Shug, anybody there that jumps out to you?
I think they've already been mentioned. Barkley's one of the main ones for me. I'd love to see him at Miami. To be honest, the Miami players on there, I don't know what happened with them. Jeff Wilson Jr. I think has done well since he came in at Miami.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get that sorted and ends up staying. But as you said, you go right through that list, and every one of them you'd take at your team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. In terms of Saquon Barkley, I know the Giants, Daniel Jones and Barkley face free agency at the end of the season. The talk is they'll extend one and they'll franchise tag the other. So it's interesting to see how that one develops. But let me see, we have any comments. There's nothing coming in at the moment, guys. So just leaves me to say a massive thank you, Roberto and Shug, for joining us as ever. Cheers, Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Shug, ever present. Me v you this weekend. Who's winning it?
Yep. Looking forward to the grudge match. I owe you one, so I'm tipping myself.
Huge game. You're 7-5, sitting third. I am
Yep.
6 and. Am I right in saying I'm 6-6 and now sitting something like 9th, having dropped all the way down to defeats in the bounce. So that's going to be a good game. I think the projections have got you winning it. But no, if you've lasted this far, please make sure to subscribe. Please make sure to like, and please even leave us a review if you're nice enough to do that. Or even send us your Wrapped. Imagine we were on someone's Wrapped on Spotify. That'd be nice. Send us that on Spotify. We'll share it. Right, boys, you're up against each other here. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute here. No. Toasty, settle down. We've got Toasty in the comments saying, no game, WTF. Dave, what's going on? But no, we can assure you there's a game. We've got Calvin Riddle me this coming up. Shug, Roberto explains itself. I'm going to give you a riddle, and it's going to be the name of an NFL player. So, producer David, when you're ready with the first clue, let's go. Barbie's man has his finger up his nose.
Ken Pickens.
Oh, that is good.
Wait a minute here. Pick it.
No, you didn't hear me right with the signal.
I'll tell you what.
You gave me the point.
I'll tell you what. Good karma, so it goes in my favour for fantasy football this week. So you can have that one, mate. All right.
Yes.
I was a bit heavy-handed there. That was my fault.
I was thinking, who is Ken Pickens? I was just shouting something.
Right, boys. Next one up. Fingers on the buzzers. To steal something that's not quite a semi. To steal something that's not quite a semi. I'll break that down into two halves. To steal something, it's not quite a semi.
Rob Soft.
No, but you are completely along the right lines there. To steal something that's not quite a semi. Let's have a wee look.
Rob
Nothing
Quarter.
in the comments. Nope. Shug.
That's not.
Rob Floppy.
No. There is absolutely nobody in the history of the NFL called Rob Floppy.
Toasty is all over this one, by the way, guys. He's got it straight away.
Right. Okay, he's got it in the comments. So, to steal something that's not quite a semi. So, to steal something is the first name. You would say it's more of a Scottish slang to steal something. And not quite a semi is it's a bit rude.
A floppy, soft, flaccid.
Keep going.
Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco.
Wow, man. Shug, right, you're getting one chance each. Shug, anything?
No, give me a minute. To steal something?
Yeah. So
Pinch.
I'm gonna get a countdown timer for next week.
Okay,
Pinch.
so if say you were going to tackle someone, you get your toe in, you just away from them. To steal something.
Nick.
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 He's nearly there. You got
Nick
the first
Floppy.
name, boys. Oh my God, I cannot believe you haven't got this.
Nick, not
Nick.
by a semi.
Nick Flaccid.
Oh my.
Nick.
Shug.
Nick. No,
Oh
I'm
my
got.
God, why can't I get this? I'm trying to think of players. My
I
brain
know,
is
I've
frozen.
lost
5, 4,
Oh,
3, 2, 1.
Nick Bobby. Nick
Ah!
Chubb. Not bad.
oh
man.
boys. Rob Floppy. Third and final question. Why does it always rain on me in France? Why does it always
Travis
rain
Etienne.
on me? One apiece.
Oh.
Oh man. Right, we've got a tiebreaker. We have got a tiebreaker. Right, let me see what I can come up with here. Give me a wee second. We're not very prepared for a tiebreaker, are we, producer David? But I have got something here.
Right.
Riddle
So
on the
let's
spot.
see if I can find this. This is a good one. Right, so if you can get one of these, then I will be happy. Okay. So the tiebreaker this week: name the 2 stadiums in the NFL not to be named after a player or a sponsor.
Soldier Field.
Mile High.
Well
Denver.
done. Roberto
Yeah.
takes it. The answer to the game was Arrowhead and Soldier Field are the 2 stadiums in the NFL not to be named after a player or a sponsor. So well done, Roberto.
Well done, Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you,
Shug,
Shug.
hopefully that's not the only time you're beating this week, mate.
What's Denver Stadium called?
Denver Stadium, they changed the name of it.
The Broncos
I'll tell you
Bowl.
now. The Broncos Bowl. Let's see.
The
Denver
Emperor.
Broncos. These things
Rusty's
change all the
house.
time. The Empower Field at Mile High, so it's called Mile High, obviously, because of humidity and stuff like that. There, that's a
I
difficult
said
place to
Mile
play.
High.
Aye, but the Empower Field changes
But
all
now
the
you're
time.
splitting hairs.
I've not got many hairs to split, mate, so let's not go there.
Fair enough.
The
well
Let's
done,
Ride
Roberto.
Arena coming in the comments.
That's right.
But no, a big shout out to Toasty, who got every single one of them correct in the comments, but that was never in doubt, was it? Boys,
Well
I've
done,
said my
Tom.
thank yous. Good luck in your matchup, Roberto. Shug, all the worst of luck to you. And thank you to everyone that's listened. Goodbye.